arena as entrepreneurs, as their own business owners. So that's what's really important to us. And on a larger scale, nationwide, there have been over the last 15 years or so various groups adopting the Black Wall Street moniker. And Black Wall Street means, for most people, simply a reference to the capacity for African Americans to be successful in economic and entrepreneurial endeavors. I tell people, when looking at the history, the label Black Wall Street is really a misnomer, because what was here in Tulsa was a Black Main Street. These were mostly small businesses, mom and pop type operations, professionals like doctors, lawyers, accountants, dentists, pharmacists, and so forth. What was remarkable is the concentration of these businesses and entrepreneurs in an atmosphere that was suffused with systemic racism. And that racism was endemic, not just in Tulsa, but in the United States generally. Mm-hmm. So we have to understand that what happened here in 1921 comes on the heels of 1919, the infamous Red Summer, when there were race riots all over the country, including in Baltimore, New York, Chicago, Elaine, Arkansas, Longview, Texas, on and on and on. So it's what happened here in terms of the calamity that was the massacre is part of a pattern of racial violence and racial oppression that really defined America in the early part of the 20th century. Historians and sociologists call this period the nadir of race relations, or the low point of race relations in American history, because of these events that were called race riots and because of lynching. And lynching is simply a form of domestic terrorism, targeting primarily African Americans. And the point behind lynching, as was the point behind a number of these so-called race riots, was to reinforce white supremacy, to show Black people that they had a place in society, and that place was beneath white people. Mm-hmm. So you don't escape that in 5 years or 10 years or 50 years. We're still living the legacy of all that. So that's why we have to remember our history, because if we don't understand that, we can't understand why there's a George Floyd and why Breonna Taylor and why these things happen. It's all connected.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. It's all part of the same.
Yeah. So look, we've been doing these awards in about 6 different cities since 2011. We're giving away over 1,700 awards. And among the places we would go is Atlanta. Hey, Robert Scott, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Robert.
What is Black Wall Street to you?
Wow. I mean, it's a representation of Black America. You know, there were Black Wall Streets all over. You know, I'm here in Atlanta, which was one. Baltimore was one. Greensboro, North Carolina. It's just the example that we have to look back to see how well we have done and what we can do, and what we need to strive to get back together.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this, Robbie. Is there an expectation in Atlanta that the business owner, that the mayor, that the Black Chamber of Commerce, that they think Black first?
Yeah, I mean, that's been the mode. That's how they got where it was. I mean, and I look at Atlanta from 1981 when I came here, when it was like the worst place in the world for anyone to go. Nobody wanted to come here. It experienced, you know, the ups and downs that Baltimore experienced in St. Louis and Detroit and everything. And that was during the Atlanta child killings. When I got here for my freshman year in college, I thought I got accepted in the Morehouse because so many people didn't want to come, you know, because that was the mode. When I got here, I really didn't even know what was going on. We heard about it, but when we got here in the pressure cooker, you know, it was like you guys that were out there when Freddie Gray had his situation.
Right, but
and what they did to turn things around was they put a PR program together called Atlanta, a City Too Busy to Hate. And what that was a program where every mayor that came in succession, from Maynard Jackson on down, they stayed linked. The next mayor was linked to the first mayor, was linked to the next mayor, was linked to the next mayor, was linked to the next mayor. And there's this one Mary Norwood, who's a white woman. You're experiencing something similar there in Baltimore, who has run against each black mayor. Each of the last 4 black mayors that come through, and she almost won. But because of the black community, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Yeah.
No, okay. Because of the black community and the hip hop community, who really got people turned out, you know, it all came together. It's all linked to that time. What that program was every mayor that came in, they hung their hat on what international company they brought to the city. And that's why there's 16 Fortune 500 companies headquartered in Atlanta. But they were bringing international companies. So you got mayors that hang their hat on Mercedes-Benz or Porsche, Home Depot, or whatever. And these were black mayors that were setting these deals up and making sure that the black community was going to share into it. And it's linked all the way back to Maynard Jackson, from Maynard Jackson to now. And trust me, they're going against white folks. They're going against black Republicans that they have down here. But it is a strong succession of mayors of all things.
Right.
You know, you usually don't see that, but mayors that are all connected. And Atlanta, when you fly into the airport, you'll still see Atlanta, a city too busy to hate. It had nothing to do with civil rights or anything. It had to do with bringing businesses here so that they could retain their intellectual capital, because we have the AU Center here. And they wanted to make sure that these educated kids that were coming from all across the country came and stayed and built the community.
Great job. Hannibal, how do we extend the Black Wall Street mindset?
Yeah, I think the first thing you do is know your history. I mean, so know that incredible possibilities that are out there. One of the things that's remarkable about the founders of the Black Wall Street in Tulsa is that they faced kinds of odds that we will never face. I mean, I'm not here to argue that racism doesn't exist or that structural systemic racism isn't a problem, but I'm here to tell you that the kind of racism we face isn't the kind of racism that they faced. I mean, they faced, really, really brutal, vicious, constant, unrelenting, deadly kinds of violence from white leadership. I mean, that's what they faced. They were still able to be incredibly successful. So if we know that, then the possibilities for us are unlimited. And I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can be successful in the entrepreneurial arena, realizing that it's not perfect and that there are a lot of changes that need to happen. We can work on those at the same time that we work on our businesses and our entrepreneurship.
That's in our DNA. That's in our DNA.
Michelle, how do we extend Black Wall Street as it relates to people in positions like you?
Well, I would say that, using myself, I can only use myself. So, Donnie, you yourself brought me onto the whole Black Wall Street for Baltimore. You yourself invited me out, educated me on what you were trying to do to educate our people of color, as far as what's going on in small business for them, what's going on with them when it comes to what government can do to further help our people in small business to get the opportunities that are out there that they know nothing about. So for me, I always say my Black Wall Street goals in my position was to educate and teach small businesses about government contracting, to how to get their foot in the door to be able to be a part of government or state contracting, to be able to either be prime contractors or to be better subcontractors, and to put them in front of the right people. So I have to say hats off to you and thank you for guiding me in that direction, because that made my brand stronger on a national basis, because I took it nationally, those efforts to further guide, educate, and be that inside person for small businesses to have those opportunities. So for me, it became a personal goal within my brand and the business that I did with state government. And so that's how I saw it.
Well,
Donnie,
let
I
me
have
just say to you, Michelle, I wish we had more Black people who understood their position and what their innate responsibility is than we already do. Because sometimes I look around at us and it's sad. Marcia?
So one of the things, we had a conversation earlier, and I'm just curious. I find that in many cases, a lot of these cities do not have financial packages for small minority startup type businesses. Have you all found any of those issues in your cities or your locations or in your business?
Ms. Jews, when you say, can you kind of explain that a little bit more for me so I can, when you say have small packages, so
what one of the conversations we were having is funding, the gap funding, and how a lot of the major corporations, particularly in an environment such as COVID right now, they're able to access a lot of capital. And so what are those issues, or what if any issues are you finding, you may not have, that if you were looking for money, or anybody that you know that's looking for money or some sort of financial support through a financial institution, be it a bank, be it some other kind of commercial lender, have any of you have found any issues in trying to get large sums of money to give to undergird your businesses?
I personally, I know in the beginning when COVID first happened, it's the requirement is it's a lot to get the funding. So, me per se, I just use, because I have several businesses, resources and funding from other businesses for other businesses. You know what I'm saying? Because it's really hard to get the help financially especially when you starting a business. You really gotta kind of figure it out, or speak to an attorney to really seek the help, because it's hard. Their requirements is ridiculous to get the funding. It really is. It's not as easy as it looks when you see on the site. So log on to this, and you click this to get this. No, they asking for a whole lot.
I find what she said to be true. I've heard a lot of the businesses, in general, speak about, they say it's there, but it's really not there. Or if it's there, it's so hard to fill out the information, to get it to where it needs to go. I've also heard that the larger businesses got the money before the smaller businesses. It was always some type of, as you say, red tape.
BS.
To get to the, for it to get to the lower, smaller, businesses who had the smaller number of employees or the smaller number of revenue, annual gross receipts coming in and stuff like that. And so a lot of things that came about that I've been hearing is some of them said they had to reinvent themselves.
Right.
Like she just said, she had to use one of her businesses to survive off the other business, I do remember promotional small businesses that sell promotional items and things of that sort.
Yeah.
Well, there was a woman-owned business who told me that she converted, from the whole promotional to PPE.
Yeah.
So she was able to kind of transition from, okay, let me put the promotional stuff on the side. Let me see if I can get the PPE stuff, the personal protective, equipment dealing with the COVID. And that's how she was, or has been, able to stay afloat. She just reinvented into another area of need.
Right.
That's not always the case. Not every business can say, oh, okay, instead of this, then I'll revert to that, because that can be a very difficult process based on where some small businesses stand. Right. So I know we've lost some in the process.
Can I say something? Hold tight, Bob. Stephen, I'm trying to get you in here. Jump in.
Okay. As far as this pivot that we've had to do business wise, I had to pivot. I'm a designer, and I thrive off of proms and weddings. And lawyers who go to court, they need to sue me. That's my business. And because of COVID, I had to pivot into something else. What I will say is that I think one of the biggest issues plaguing small businesses and how it affected me was we don't have our books in order and our stuff together. So opportunities, a lot of money floated around during COVID.
Time out, Stephen. White people's books are raggedy too.
Listen, I'm not discounting what they're doing. I'm saying as far as us though.
Yes.
It is a thing that in our community, we don't understand taxes.
White people
don't want to.
Okay, y'all agree.
Look, I have to support Stephen. I have to support him.
White businesses go through the same thing.
No, I'm not saying they don't.
It's not saying that they don't.
What I'm saying is we gotta have, as a result of us already being 400 years behind, we've got to work that much harder to make sure that when opportunities come, we can win. I'm not saying that they don't have this stuff. They're gonna win because they're white.
All they have to do is walk in the door and say, Bob, I need $100,000, and Bob will get it.
Right.
That's real.
But with us, we've got to have our stuff in order so that way when that one lone white person wants to bless that one nigga, excuse the French, that we have everything in order. We can say, I paid taxes for the past 10 years. This is my track record.
I'm not waiting.
We're going to get it. Huh?
I'm not waiting on that.
Well, I'm not saying that. A part of that, I know some black folks that won during COVID, and they only won, not all. A lot of them suffered and went under. You know that.
If it ain't one, they got another. Come on.
I have to agree with Stephen. Stephen is on it. Okay, I mean, like, and see, because I'm in the crunch with small businesses, he's right. Okay, when it comes to having your stuff together, we have to just be above bar all the time.
You ask a lot of the same people that you won't give an opportunity to.
Let me tell you, Stephen is on point of what he's saying. The first complaint. Let me tell you about the first complaint. So the first complaint that I hear from the big companies dealing with small subcontractors, okay? The first thing they say is, oh, when it comes to labor, they do an excellent job. I just can't get them to fill out their paperwork. I can't get them to submit their invoices on time. Their invoices are not correct.
Michelle, we don't even understand it. I have a friend of mine, same color as me, a couple of years, the same thing that I do, and they caught 6 figures in the same industry that I'm in, but they had their books in order, and I didn't have all my stuff together. I'm gonna be honest. So what I'm learning now is I'm talking to a lawyer and get with an accountant so that when the second win comes up, because the second win is going to come around again.
Yes, it is.
So that when it comes around again, I can say, hey, I did my part. Now, if I don't, I'm still going to be a black man and hustle. That's understood.
That's right.
But I'm going to keep my hustle going and have my stuff. So that way, if I can get to the loophole, I'll find out one white person that likes me. I can profit and loss statements. And I got this and I got, because I don't personally understand all of that. I really, really don't. I know how to sell. You cannot outsell me, hands down. You can't.
Right.
But that isn't enough. That is not enough.
It's
in
not enough because
we've got to have our affairs in order.
Come on.
Right.
Because we can't keep being a ghost. I'm 42 years old.
Time out. You complaining now. Let's move forward. You complaining. You hit the point.
Yeah.
We have to have our stuff together.
You have to have it together.
The sister said that. I was able to get PPP because I have records. And I knew how to produce the records to the proper sources to get it done.
Yes.
Okay? If we don't know how, like you say, you better ask somebody. You better bring somebody on board, do some outsourcing, okay, and get the paperwork together. It's a matter of, even if you do rudimentary stuff, just make your own sheets, make your own payments schedules.
Have a business account and only use that account for transactions. That's a start.
Can I make a comment supporting what you said?
Sure.
You got to really have your stuff in line, and I've been finding that out because
Man.
from the dung, this time that we've lived, my partners and I, we started a contact tracing company because we wanted to make this time make a difference moving forward. So we have like 120 some certified reps that do that. But in finding funding, we have a hedge fund here in Atlanta that's a little different because it's not headquartered in New York, and it's a $28 billion hedge fund called FleetCor. And if you have your numbers together, like a 680 credit score or better for your business, with an EIN number, you can go through them with your EIN number and your project. If you're in one of three disciplines, real estate, construction, and transportation, and they give credit lines. And those credit lines have a 0% interest, no APR, no transaction fees.
Wow.
But
you said
the hedge fund owns MasterCard. They own all of the trucking stops that are on the interstate, TA, Loves, all of those. So they have all these deals, these gas deals, and so on and so forth. But what you're doing is you're going to a hedge fund, and it used to be Bain Financial. If you guys have heard of that, that was Mitt Romney's father's company. Well, it's headquartered here in Atlanta. It's in Norcross, to be exact. It's a suburb. And through this hedge fund, you are no longer a Black person because you didn't come to them with your Social Security number. I'm giving my Social Security number to people, and they've told me, "Oh, you're a Black man born in the early '60s in Maryland."
From the number.
From my number. So what you want to do? They sent me to Chase. What you want to do is you want to make sure you got an EIN number.
Yes.
And then you're a business entity.
Right.
And if you could apply for that money you guys are talking about, based on your business, you're having your stuff together, that's gravy. But if you have a hedge fund that you can deal with, and many Black people, I know here in Atlanta, you'll see all the buildings that they built. The Mercedes-Benz Dome was financed by this. It's a $5 billion project. Was financed by the hedge fund, and most of our construction deals and housing complexes don't go through banks. They go through this hedge fund. But once you go through a hedge fund, now you can circle back to that bank, and that 3% interest loan they were giving you became 1%, because now they're competing against an entity that they see is offering you 0%.
And they're happy to get that 1% from you.
Right. And no one knows you're a Black person because you came to them as a business, and you're not looking for a loan. You're looking for a credit line. And it's all going to be based on a MasterCard platform, meaning when you go to purchase things or pay people, you're actually going to use that MasterCard platform. It's a Black card that gives you 0% interest.
So what can we conclude?
Really cool deal.
What can we conclude from this?
We can conclude that small businesses have to be educated on how to order their books, understand the guidelines and things for compliance. That's what we have to do. We have to do some training in those simple measures, and they can be rudimentary. You don't have to spend a lot of money in terms of systems, depending on how big your operation is. You may need to, but the fact of the matter is, you got to keep records about what you're doing. You got to follow. You got to cross the T's and dot your I's.
Yeah.
Those kind of things, and be consistent.
Hannibal, as we look towards May 31st, what can people around the country do?
What can they do? They can bone up on their history. They can engage with their own communities. In the discussion that just happened, one of the things I was thinking about is the historical role of Black chambers of commerce, which is business mentoring, business supports, all the sorts of things that we need to have done to make people adept at the parts of entrepreneurship that they may not like to do, but are necessary. We need resources like Black Chambers of Commerce that can provide things like helping with business plans, identifying accountants, all those sorts of support services that are essential for success. So we can look at our communities and ask, where are these institutions? If they don't exist, how do we build them?
I'm a member of the Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce, and I'm going to tell you, they are moving in some strong directions. And some of the items that you're talking about, they're bringing to the table, bringing the legislators in, bringing the financial sectors in, bringing in SCORE, bringing in other, institutions that will help small businesses develop their processes.
Jeff, what do you need as a emerging business? What do you need? You're located in Baltimore County?
Yes, I'm located in Baltimore County. My salon suite is located in Baltimore County, and my office where I do my customized business is in Pikesville, Maryland. So pretty much not far from each other, though.
Is it that you wouldn't do business in Baltimore City? Is it easier to set up in the county?
It's easier as far as my clientele. I'm right in the middle. I'm on Owens Mills Boulevard, so it's kind of right off the highway exit. When I originally started doing hair, I did work at a salon in the city. That's what I started out. I just feel like it's become for convenience for my clients to be where I am right now, though.
Now, Michelle, watch this. How many businesses are coming to your pop-up on Saturday out at Diamond's Event Center? How many businesses have signed up?
Right now, I have 35 vendors. Again, like before, the goal was to have 60, but I know because of COVID, I have to, eliminate some of the space. But I have 35 again, and I have a variety of different businesses this time. Yep, 35 vendors.
And Bob, you'd be pleased to learn that they will all be socially distanced.
Socially distanced, yes.
In a black-owned
mask and temperature check, all that stuff. Yep.
Black-owned
facility. Really?
Yes, and it's a black-owned facility. Yes.
Excellent.
Michelle, we've been able to do a number of events out at BWI Airport thanks to the help of Ricky Smith and yourself. How do we engage with large entities like the airport? Every city has an airport.
So what Mr. Smith and I have been doing with the different airports on a national basis is to try to push to support more people of color in those positions that can make differences for other people and businesses of color as far as opportunities at the national airports. So if you were to, do a search of those faces in charge of a lot of the airports now, you will really start to see more people of color, especially women. One of the things that Ricky Smith is trying to do is really push that envelope in the airport field for women, because what people don't understand is there's so many women who work in that area, but you don't know that they're there, right? And so he uses, he's the president of AMAC now, which is the American Minority Airport Council. Oh. And so he uses that in order to educate and push the fact that we need to be looking at, women in those positions. And so you will start to see now more women being employed running the airport. They are the CEOs. That gives the opportunity for businesses to become vendors within the airport. Under Mr. Smith, Maryland Aviation Administration, BWI Marshall, probably has the majority of women hired since he's been put in place in prominent positions, and probably the largest number of minority vendors in an airport.
That's so ample to say the least. We need more Ricky Smiths. And He's the CEO of the airport here called BWI, or BWI Marshall. But this is his second time as a CEO.
Yes, he also did he ran the Cleveland airport. The mayor there in Cleveland, we was mad, but took him from Maryland, and so the governor of Maryland got him back. So was glad to have the hometown boy back. Morgan State put on a big business affair to welcome him back home. So that was really good.
Well, what I'm really getting to, and Robert Scott, you're going to love this. The black CEO of the airport was appointed twice by 2 Republican governors. And so now that we have Biden in there, and your state, Robert, Georgia is where the next fight will go down in January. How do we, black Democrats, hold Biden accountable? How do we make him not forget the Stacey Abrams, the Raphael Warnocks, the people on the ground, the Cynthia McKinneys, the people that push Georgia to support this new president? How do we hold them accountable?
We keep our feet on him, of course. He was my last choice as far as the Democrats were concerned to be there, because he's just another old white man, and I'm tired of old white men, just plain and simple. But my number one choice became vice president, and she will eventually become president. I don't know what he's going to do. He's just hanging on. He did his job. His job was to make sure he pushed Trump out. I don't know what he can do. I seriously think he's too old. Now, we have to keep our feet on him because he made some promises. And who put him in office were young people. They entered the electorate and they put him in office. 70% of white folks voted for Trump. We never thought that 70% of white folks voting for anybody could be beaten. So 2044 is here. They no longer predominate if we stand up and vote. And also, they don't all vote either.
No.
They don't all vote. They got more people voting this time than ever voted in the past.
Yeah.
But it was young people that entered the electorate, young blacks, young whites, that are tired of what the Republicans are selling and going for.
Yeah.
The Republican agenda is the same nationally. So just in your little micro situation where things are a little different than the rest of the country, the agenda is still the same: to break us down, to break the black community apart so they can keep control, keep us at 12%.
Hey, Hannibal, I got a real treat for you. Devon?
Yes, sir. This is not a treat for Hannibal. This is a treat for me.
Have you guys ever seen this? Hey, Devon, what's this?
Oh, yes, sir. So that's the board game that we created, Black Wall Street, the board game. Lot to do with the wise words of Hannibal over there, his books. We were able to convert some books, documentaries into a fun game for families and little kids to play.
Oh, wow.
No, that's great. That's great. Yeah.
How do we get that?
Thank you.
Well, so we just sold out. Holidays have been a huge blessing.
Oh, man.
How can you sell
here.
out? Today's only the 10th or the 11th. You better get some more.
It's been a amazing year.
I'm glad. That's wonderful.
Yes, ma'am. So,
Well, get some more and you can be a vendor at my next pop-up shop.
How soon will you have some more of those, man? How soon?
They're on their way. They were supposed to arrive in Atlanta on the 4th, but everything's been delayed. So we should get them within the next week or so.
Well, I want one for my grandson. He's
Yes,
12
ma'am.
and he'll love it. And I'm like, if I have to walk down there, that's what I would do. And my brother's down there.
So what's
I love that. Right.
Can you put the
Thank you.
website in the
Yes,
chat
please.
so I can write
Yes.
it down and order
Yes,
them?
ma'am. I
website,
appreciate y'all.
Yeah, put the website in the chat and I will write it down so I can order, because I definitely need it for my grandkids.
I need it too.
Devon,
Yes.
where are you located?
Oh yeah, we're in LA, so you don't want to walk. I heard someone say that they're gonna walk on down. That's a far travel.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, yeah, we're out here in LA. Definitely going to. We're in the San Fernando Valley of LA. We're gonna make a trip to Tulsa in May/June for the Centennial. So I'm sure some of y'all may be there as well.
Wow.
Wonderful.
So you got to see Hannibal. You got to catch up with Hannibal Johnson.
I'll be here. I'll be here. Yeah.
Please. We will definitely come knocking. I don't know if I'll be able to get anybody's contact information here, if I should get it later on, but definitely want to connect.
Can you get
I'm
the
putting
website?
mine in the chat.
You know, I can't see the chat. I don't know what's
It's
wrong with
over
my
to the
computer.
right. You made it too big. You got to make your thing smaller.
Yeah, it's on the right.
we
Thank you so
I got
much.
you. I got you.
I'm writing
Yes,
that
sir.
down right now.
Yes.
Devon, the next time you're in Atlanta, man, let me know because I produce a show that I'd like you to come on
Okay.
called Atlantainment, and you could bring that product.
Oh, yes, sir.
We produce, we broadcast real good.
What's the website, Devon?
The website is playblackwallstreet.com. So I'll put it in the chat and I'll put our email contact as well. Definitely want to connect with y'all Titans on here.
Yeah, and make sure that you send me information. I put my email on, and I have a weekly newsletter that goes out, so we can put all of your stuff in for everybody. And my email is right there.
So Devon, tell us, how in the world did you come up with the game? And how did you hear about Black Wall Street?
So I heard about Black Wall Street in like one AFAM class at UC Davis. They just mentioned it for like a lecture, but they didn't really dive into it. But when I was motivated to learn about it was I did a summer camp with some students in South Los Angeles, Inland Empire. We brought them to the Big Bear camp, and none of these students, none of these counselors knew about Black Wall Street. So I was like,
LA?
this is LA, and none of the high school students and middle school students or even the college level counselors knew about it. So what I did was I read the books, I read the documentary, and I put the information into a game. First, I checked to see if there was a Black Wall Street or a Black Monopoly game, which y'all would be surprised the ignorance that is out there. The ignorance on stereotypes, baby mama drama, being locked in jail. Like there were board games literally created around the stereotypes instead of the Black excellence. So we were like, no, we can't have that. So and then the following year, went back to the Village Nation camp, and I brought the prototypes of the games for the students to be able to learn Black Wall Street.
That's powerful, Devon. Thank you for your consciousness, brother.
Devon, how old are you?
27.
Right on.
Man, I wish I would have learned about it when I was 27.
Yeah, well, Grandma said I got an old soul.
No, but this is really important.
Yeah, it is.
Jessica, what do you think?
That's wonderful, brother. Congratulations, man.
Thank
That's
you.
a giant step.
I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. I missed what you said. What do I think?
What do you think of this game? Yeah.
This game is awesome. You know, I'm with it. I wish he was here. Come here. Be a vendor.
Where are you at? You in Baltimore?
I'm in Baltimore County. Yes. Gotcha. Yes. But the goal is, if COVID allows, the goal is to travel. I have no desire to keep trap star vendors here. I really want to do, surrounding, states and try to keep it moving, when we able to move around a little bit better. Yeah, and connect with people in other states. Yep, that's my goal.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, come on out. It's sunny out here.
Yes, definitely.
Back when we had the riot, back when we had the riots here in Baltimore. Stephen, you there?
I'm here.
Stephen, what did you and your friends do to support Black businesses during the riots of Freddie Gray?
So what happened was I was fortunate that my store wasn't looted or vandalized when it happened. But I'll just hold it. But what happened was I knew I had some friends who lost everything they had in their businesses. So I had the idea of an old school rent party. And what we did was I turned my store into a giving center pretty much. And I put a basket in the front of the store. I told folks to come out and whatever you have, you put into the pot. It was crowdfunding at the very basic level. I didn't have the the language to make it special and deep and difficult. I thought if most of us go under as small businesses for car insurance, you miss one car insurance payment, you fall behind. Now your kid can't go to daycare. Now you can't pay your rent. Now you get locked up because you get pulled over. Then you got to pay all because of $142. So we can get together and everybody puts in what they got. And I did it for almost a year. Every single month, we highlighted a Black business and we raised money for them. And whatever money came in the night, they went home with the money. And that it was that simple. Whatever somebody had, you donated it, and we kept it going. And so that's what we did during the Freddie Gray moment to help raise money, and it worked.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So I'm thinking if we could have gotten a corporate sponsor beyond that to match what we did, just $500 or $1,000, what that could ripple effect to do, because it's not that we don't have the money, it's that we think it takes big money. But if everybody gives $20, we can raise $1,000. It doesn't take $10 million to keep a Black business going. A lot of times, a few hundred, it's a month's rent can keep you at Diamond's Hall. If she fell short 1 month and couldn't keep going, if everybody gave $10, that pays her rent or her mortgage. It's not rocket science. I don't have a degree in finance. I know how my parents struggled. I know how my stores went under. And so we can get somebody going for $500. Everybody pitches in, makes a big difference. So that's what I do. And embracing the pivot once again. The pivot was beautiful. I love the pivot. The pivot is great. I ain't mad at it. I think in our community, we are afraid of change at our times too. And we don't
realize how adaptable we are.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, my whole business went under. I mean, I've had 3 customers since January, since COVID started. And I missed no meals, thank God. Were some days slow? Heck yeah. But I embraced the change and the pivot. You know, I think you got to really be aware. I think iron sharpens iron. And I think in our community, it's a lot of fake entrepreneurs.
That's our ministry theme right there, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, so we got to stop being fake entrepreneurs and really get out there. I can call Donnie and say, Donnie, I ate today. You know, that stop being grandiose and really just come down to the balls and knuckles and say, hey, let me hang around somebody that's like me. So none of my friends have jobs. None of them. So one person, like I'm selling sea moss now. Sea moss and sea moss pills. So my best friend just came by while I was on the car and gave him some sea moss.
I need some sea moss.
You got ashwagandha.
Some sea moss.
I got the black tea oil. I had to pivot.
I need
because what's the point? I'll get your information, Bob. I'll find you. I'll get email for Donnie and I'll call you tonight. I'll get it out to you.
Right on.
But it's
that look like medical marijuana.
What's
that look like medical marijuana.
It does, but it's sea moss.
What do you use sea moss for?
It has kind of watched Dr. Sebi. He was really big into that, and it has like 92 essential vitamins, minerals that the body needs.
Yeah.
And so during COVID, I've hosted networking events during this COVID period. It's no way I can still be standing here and not being sick one day if I didn't have something in my system.
Yeah.
No way possible.
Yeah.
So we've got to have the things in us to get us through this. And it's not the vaccine. We all know that. We've got to get healthy stuff inside of us to keep us going. So I had to pivot. I love custom clothing, but no one's buying a suit right now and going to a prom. Nobody. There's no schools open. There's no churches open. There's no event halls open. So I had to pivot.
Yeah, smart.
Devon, here's a question for you. Have the elders in the community disappointed you, or have they supported you, or has it been neither?
Oh, the elders have been the strongest support that we've gotten. I think because we're talking about something that is historical, and I feel like the previous generations probably have a deeper connection to Black Wall Street that's been lost in my generation and the generation under me. I think the grandparents and the older folks have been a huge support system and receptive to the idea. And hopefully they do get some sea moss from Brother Stephen over there. Sea moss is definitely, we got some in the cabinets needed. I see you over there.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, Devon, we have 1.4, 1.5 trillion dollars in annual disposable income. We can make any brand successful. Why can't we make our own successful? We support Louis Vuitton, the most expensive liquors, you know, the whips, the cars. How do we support each other the same way, at the same level, and it be sexy and stylish and a trend?
Oh yeah, good point. I think we're seeing it. In my opinion, I feel like 2020 and even more so in 2021, we're seeing a new Black Renaissance, a resurgence of what we saw in the 1920s with the Harlem Renaissance, with all these Black brands. I feel like what we need to also pay attention to is some folks, like these people in my family, aren't necessarily willing to do online transactions yet, which hopefully someday they get to it because that's what the future is. But I feel like most folks want to support what's local. And a lot of the local Black brands are, you know, popping up in Atlanta, in Brooklyn, in Chicago, but there's tons of other remote places that don't have access to go to that brand or their flagship store. So I feel like if we can make more pop-up shops like they're doing out in Baltimore, but traveling, if we can get more experiences where we're bringing the products to the people, I think we can explode Black Wall Street virtually.
Mm-hmm. You know, there used to be an organization here where there were several Black men, that the Developmental Credit Fund, and they created it where it was like a credit union. And Acneil Muldrow was one of the founders. And it was just a whole new way of thinking in terms of how Black people were not only loaning money, but assisting people in the development of their business. What would be interesting is how, while the Black chambers are in many places, and you have the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce, maybe there's some kind of way that we create this collective that creates like a credit fund that we could all be part of as small businesses.
Ooh,
see, that's where I disagree with Stephanie. Stephanie was saying that we need to pass the credit check. When we had Black people running the numbers, that was your credit check. You said you're going to pay that money back, and either you did or they took your house. That was your credit check.
That was back
then. I was going to comment. I was going to comment to say, you know, that is such an excellent question that Donnie posed when it comes to, so what happens in the Black community with us supporting Black businesses? And Devon brought up a good point. So we've had a spurt. I call it a spurt because it hasn't been continuous. But I also think when you talk about generations, okay, you talk about the generations and the mindset. So for me, and talking to, you know, small businesses and then the older businesses, it is a trust. That word trust right there really keeps the Black businesses from thriving, because we have not been taught to trust each other in business. Okay. And that trust circulates, you know, to our youth who are in business and things of that sort. It would have to be the younger minded businesses to break that. You understand? They would have to be the ones to show us, because I'm in that older group, where's that trust? You know, because I'm going to tell you, I have tried for 20 something years to talk about and teach small businesses to partner, to bid on contracts and things of that sort. The first thing is, well, who's going to hold the money?
Michelle,
who's going to hold the money? So it is. I don't know if it's learned or if it's just you know, Mr. Hannibal and Robert and Mr. Bob, y'all can help me with this, but that trust factor of the finances and who's going to be doing what that deals with that, I think has really held back a lot of the Black business support. Because I still hear, one second, Stephanie, I still hear people talk about, I don't get the same type of customer service, or, you know, they just want to, you know, they're not trying to give us a deal. Well, sometimes we got to stop expecting that deal. If we really want to help our Black businesses to thrive, right? We got to stop looking for that deal, because as Donnie stated, coaching Louis Vuitton ain't giving you but so much of a deal. Okay. So those types of things is, you know, it's learned, or we gotta figure out that word, I call it the trust of business, because it has hindered many businesses from having that community support. The $1 trillion that Donnie is speaking to, that trillion don't go back into the Black business community.
Right.
Okay. And so we have made so many other businesses thrive. And it's a shame sometimes that our communities cannot see it. You know, it's an educational factor, and a lot of our communities cannot see that. And I don't have the answer, but I see that as the issue.
Michelle, I just wanted to piggyback on what you're saying. Just one thing, I think it's a crucial point. And as my lawyer often says, it's the value system is messed up. And we don't have the value system. And to go back to our grandparents, they had this honor code that when they said they were going to do something, they did it. It was a handshake and they kept their word. And it was no credit score. It was, you go to Mr. Bernstein's place and pick up some meat and some eggs and some bacon. And on Friday, you went and paid that bill. But in our community, we've lost this integrity. And I think that's hurt us, crippled us, because when one Black business burns as a Black person, they make it their business to kind of destroy them. But the value system is kind of screwed up to communication. The value system is really jaded. I think that's really crippling us from progressing, because the values are lost. It's the trust, like you're saying. The value system is kind of lost in translation, where we really can't go forward because the integrity is gone. There's no integrity. And a lot of young people, the OGs stop being OGs and stop checking the young people. Like Donnie has checked me. I give Donnie permission to check me. Let me know when I'm wrong. He's called me out. And I had to, you know what, you're right. Let me get myself together. So if Donnie stopped checking me, then where would I be? So we got to have the elders and the young who are willing to listen to them, so that way we can progress, because they have the wisdom and the expertise and the resources that we don't have. But the trust is gone because there's no checks and balances once again. So no checks and balances in a credit score, nor in basic communication. There's no one to check our people, our business owners, to say, hey, so-and-so salon, you didn't make your appointment. Why aren't you calling so-and-so back to make it right? Why aren't you doing that? You know, we got to have the value system back, and that's crippling us from progressing, because in our community, it's someone that's showing us from birth how to communicate and how to build integrity. We're trying to go make money. That's it.
So I have a question for Hannibal.
Marsha has checked me. Michelle has checked me, and that cat down there with the hat on, Robert Scott, has checked me as well. So what goes around comes around.
No, and I welcome it.
How do we restore that trust, Hannibal? Hannibal, how do we get back to that mindset of 1921? Is it possible?
I say no. It's not possible. And we don't need to go back there. We need to understand history, understand how things were. But we're in a situation now where I like the term that Stephen used, pivot and adjust. Brick and mortar businesses are not doing well for a reason. We saw the Black community's businesses go when the malls opened, and Blacks were able to go to white malls and shop at the malls. Now we're seeing those malls close. And those malls are closing to the virtual environment when I can do it right here from my computer. So if we as Black businesses don't put ourselves in the right positions, like Jay Revive, someone asked about her, why didn't she do business in Baltimore? Well, she says, I'm out there with my customers. She adjusted and made sure she survived. And the importance of being in a particular community didn't get to be as important as seeing a Black business survive. She went to where her customers were. A lot of our
How do we
customers now are at home because of COVID. And we have to adjust our businesses so that it's easy for them to do business with us.
Hannibal,
So
how do
that
we
they
restore
don't have
that
to go
trust?
find us.
So I think we need to think about this very carefully, because one of the ironies of Black Wall Street is that it was Black Wall Street and successful because of something that we fought decades to eradicate, which was segregation.
Yeah.
So the reason Black Wall Street was successful is we were forced to trade with one another and to ply our trades among one another. And supremely ironically, in the late 50s and 60s, when we were fighting to have things integrated, one of the unintended consequences was the demise financially of successful Black business communities like Black Wall Street. So yes, I certainly agree that part of our challenges have to do with things like egoism and turfism, and the failure to understand collaboration, and the failure to really engage fully with the concept of community, doing things in a way that benefits multiple people, not thinking only of ourselves. So we have a lot of work to do. We're not the only ones that have this work to do, by the way, but we're talking about Black people. So let's talk about Black people. We have work to do.
Yeah, I have a possible solution that I want to run by. This is a strategy that I talk with my students, but they're younger, and I think this is a different crowd. So I'm interested to know your perspective. So I feel like mergers and acquisitions need to happen within the Black community. Instead of having like the small local barbershop, the small local board game company, the small local hotel, how can we create corporate structures where nationwide the entire community is able to invest in? And no matter what Black city you go to, you know there's going to be the Girly Hotel, you know there's going to be a Dreamland Theater, you know there's going to be a Uncle Steve's barbecue in every single neighborhood that you can support. And then as those companies grow, obviously we pay back dividends to the owners who decided to invest. As I just look at the future of the Black economy, I feel like more mergers need to happen and more corporate structures need to happen so that there's just a little bit more unity.
I love that idea.
Devon, I think it is an excellent idea. And I'm going to still go back to, I think your age group is the group that can make this happen. I would say my age group would hopefully, support your age group in that success, because we need something like that. Like I said, I have for 20 something years, I tried to get Black business to partner, to bid on contracts when I know they have the skill sets, they have everything they need to win a contract. And I'm saying, y'all can do it. I know you can do it. I'm on the other side. So I know, I know the information. And it just comes down to a missed opportunity because of the trust factor of where, how the money, who, the this and that, type of thing. But I really love that idea. I applaud that idea. It would be good if it could circulate on a national basis in the right venue, in the right talks and things of that sort, so that, it could actually be a business paper done on something like that, in order to circulate it and to get feedback on it, because it may look different in different states, okay? It'll look different in different states, because you're dealing with economic stuff then. You're dealing with, local and state. But the concept and the idea, oh my God, it's good.
It's huge. Really good. It's actually huge. And it would be very interesting to see to get in touch with like Ron Busby, who is the president of the U.S. Black Chamber. And so they're all members to that one. It might be very interesting to start having that conversation. He came out of corporate America. And so it'd be very interesting to see what that dialogue looks like. I think you're dead on, spot on, Devon.
Let me just add this in. Ron Busby runs the U.S. Black Chambers, and that came after and there's another group, it might be the Black Chamber of Commerce, the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce, which happens to be run by I think the brother Harry Alford is roughly in his 70s or so. And what I'm getting to is that organization, and however it's set up, it didn't work for Ron. So Ron really represents a new generation of businesses where the existing group, we kind of get caught up in our own generation. So that's why Ron came about. And it suggests to me that Devon and Jessica will have to form maybe another generation. But I wanted to shift to Bob Churchwell. How do we restore the trust? Robert Scott says it cannot be restored. Do you buy that?
Well, as a people, in this part of my daily prayer, as a people, we will come together and in love conquer hate and start to build that trust and that unity. I had a chance to interview with George Frazier's sister, Dr. Emma, and she talked a lot about our DNA, how we have to reconnect to our DNA, our intellectual DNA, our spiritual DNA, so we can move beyond this crab in the basket thing that was put on us over these years of slavery and that taking our culture away. We have to reconnect to our culture and our oneness. We are different shades, different concepts, but we still have a oneness. And we have to reconnect to that. And one of the sermons I listened to on Sunday from the brother over at Albert Street, he gave the PPPs. We got to pause, we got to ponder, and we got to pray. We got to figure out what we need to do individually to make these things happen. And then as groups, make these things happen. Because it is an easy concept. I've been in business and I know that brothers have always thought the white boy's ice was colder than mine. You see, and I know doggone well my ice is just as cold, you see. But those are the things that we have to do. We have to encourage one another to build that trust. We got to talk about trust. We got to talk about love. We got to talk about doing business with each other. The things that you're doing, Donnie, with the Be More and the Black Wall Street, these are things that are essential, need to be done all over. We need to be talking about this. These kind of groups, these kind of events need to be going on all over. That's one way.
Donnie, let me also comment. My comment was based on what we were talking about, and that was Black business. So it isn't to be applied to Black culture and social issues. And Devon, you could hip your students to Maggie Lena Walker, because she had that situation happen to her, and they had to do a merger with the Black banks back then. That's a great example of in the past where it happened. I think that's in Richmond, Virginia. I don't remember the name of the bank, but Maggie Lena Walker.
It was Penny Savings and Loan.
There you go.
Penny Savings and Loan.
Right.
She was the first woman to charter a bank. So folks that don't want to eat up more of your time, but can we go around the horn and everybody give your final comment, your contact information, and special thank you again to each and every one of you. Robert, thank you for your patience over the years. I think Marsha was a witness at the last fight that broke out.
I've been a witness to a lot, man.
The time before that, we took Marsha to the point where she couldn't take it anymore. She had to get off and go.
I'm not Republican.
Like Mr. Churchwell, I'm us first, community first.
Yes.
All about us.
Well, Robert, since you have
and I don't think that we need to walk outside other than financing our businesses, using other people's money. When we get to the point where we have our financial base, then we set up our banks, and then we start doing that. And we have our banks there. It's just like that guy, Ice Cube, that nonsense. That stuff he was called, I call it pseudo reparations. Reparations is all. If he wants to do what he was talking about, it's called reparations. It's already there. Go for it all.
Robert, how can people contact you?
Wow.
Your phone number.
We're building a website we're Trinity Contact Solutions. We're a contact tracing company, and I'm wondering if I should give you an email for that, because I do have an email for that. But I can be contacted. I got a phone number and I've got an email address.
One phone.
678-353-5044.
One more time.
678-353-5044.
Stephen Wise, you got the floor.
Hey, thank you guys. Love you guys a bunch. I appreciate all your input and your wisdom and encouragement tonight. I would just say, let's just not stop. Let's just keep going. Nothing was a failure but a try. I think that we a lot of times get discouraged. So as the Bible says, be not weary in well doing. So with that being said, thank you, Donnie, for being big brother, a mentor, a counselor, a support system, a venting person. I appreciate you always trying to look for the whole, for the we and not the I. I appreciate you for that. This would not be, and there would be so many awards out here if it wasn't for folks like you, and you specifically in Baltimore, in the area of always trying to champion the cause for all of us, despite your own ego or wills or issues or who you may or may not like. I appreciate you for being consistent for over a decade in my life now and never wavering on being unapologetically Donnie Glover. That's the next book. My contact information is just call me or text me 443-477-9987. Bob, text me if you can. I'll get you some CMOS. 443-477-9987. Thanks, guys.
Gotcha.
Bob Churchwell, you got the floor.
Okay. Gee whiz, I had some thoughts to this, so but it's brain freeze. You know.
Hey, Bob, let me say, Marsha wouldn't have you here if you wasn't the bomb. You must be the bomb.
I do want to say, Jay, Revive. I got a young brother over here that's been doing some things in the city, going from businesses, trying to be doing some things on LinkedIn with business and business. I'm going to put you in touch with David Street.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
And see what you guys can put together.
Okay, thank you.
Employee Benefit Advocates. My number, cell phone, 240-423-8682. The website, employeebenefitadvocates.com. Got a lot of items and services and products. I'm an employee benefit specialist. I do advocates for HR and for business. And I'm about to write some. I'm about to write a book. So keep me in prayer. The book comes up here.
Phone number one more time.
240-423-8682. And Hannibal, I'll probably give you a call, just ask you for some inspiration to get this thing off the ground, because I've been thinking about it for about 20 years, man.
All right.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Anytime. Yeah.
Okay.
Devon, you got the floor.
All right. So first of all, I am a huge advocate of YouTube University, and I recently been watching like some 1960 panels, some 1940 panels that look very similar to this. So it's just amazing to be in history in the making and just be talking to y'all about this type of stuff. So love it. Hopefully this can continue to go. King Don, appreciate you as well. So yeah, Devon Travell, you can go to playblackwallstreet.com. We also have a podcast. Our podcast will be up on there as well. Our Instagram, Play Black Wall Street. So Play Black Wall Street, everything basically. Definitely reach out. We do virtual workshops for financial literacy, for entrepreneurship, and talking about the Black future. That's really our focus as a business. Like, how can we visualize and manifest what the Black future can look like in a positive light for us? Whenever we look at, the future in, sci-fi films, or even the 2053 prophecy that the median Black family wealth is going to be 0 by 2053, all the stats aren't looking good for our people. So how can we remanifest and revision what this future looks like, starting now with 8-year-olds, with 10-year-olds, with 80-year-olds? So very excited about, again, connecting with you all, and very excited to see what we can build in 2053.
Jay Revive, you got the floor. Thank you, Devon.
Yes, I really enjoyed this speaking with all of you. I learned so much when I talked with you all the time, Donnie, and everyone else. It's just so nice to see people like myself. I want to keep, as far as Trap Star vendors, this is something that I really want to do. My goal is to continue not just to host these events, but to begin to help, small businesses and guide them and, show them, different things that I never was shown and kind of, be that more of a mentor versus just hosting events. So that's my goal. I really want to help people grow, as I continue to grow also. So, I'm going to do Trap Star vendors every 2 months. This weekend I have one coming up. I have other stuff. I'm a hairstylist as well. So everything's under J Revive. So jrevive.com. You can find all my businesses listed on my website on there.
And the phone number?
My phone, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm crazy. I don't know my business number by heart. I don't want to put my personal number in here. But I don't know I'm so embarrassed. I don't know my business number by heart. I'll put it in the thing. So, but jrevive.com, if you click that link in Google, of course, my number is listed on the website to make it easier.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Marcia Jews, thank you for all that you've done in supporting this Black Wall Street vision, including driving me all the way to New York City in the pouring down rain. And we made it in 2 hours and 15 minutes. That is a 4-hour drive. She only hit 2 old ladies going up the road.
That boy is never going to forget that, but we had to get there.
And she bought me a skull cap right outside the United Nations because she know I was cold as I don't know what. She's hosted many of our Black Wall Streets at the museum she was formerly at, and she's just a ride or die person. And I suggest to all of us that we have a tribe of people, Hannibal, people who are your tribe. They got your back no matter what. As long as you don't, shoot no kid or run over a little baby, they will do just about anything for you. I mean, I ain't tell nobody Marsha hit that. She only backed up over him twice.
That's why I'm have to drop out. I got to go to another one.
All right, bye, Robert. So I have a weekly newsletter, WKIM Media Network, and it comes out with all types of information. So if you have information, press releases, just send it to marshajews@gmail.com, MARSHAJEWS@gmail.com. And we would love to include you. Make sure you send me whatever links. And I like any ideas that you had for the holidays. Just send them to me and we'll put them in. And so we're going through COVID and I'm not charging anything for advertising for you all. So if you'd like to do that, we'd love to be able to assist you. But we also do consulting. So we do public affairs, public relations, publicist type work. And we do large scale and mid-sized events and conferences.
Hannibal, you should know that this lady helps run the Black Engineer of the Year Awards and the Women in Technology conference. And both of those are national events. She hangs out with generals, admirals.
General Lloyd Austin.
And drug dealers. Okay. All right.
That was a little while ago.
Hannibal Johnson, you have the floor. You have the final say. We'd like to thank you for sharing your time. We want you to sell your book, Black Wall Street 100, as well as did you tell me 9 others, right?
Yes, but you can just go to the website. The website has all the information and contact information and such. It's HannibalBJohnson.com, which is HANNIBAL, B as in boy, Johnson, JOHNSON.com. And my parting thought is simply, our imperative really is to leverage the Black Wall Street history in the present so that the future is a marked improvement over the past. So it's about learning the lessons of the past, employing them in ways that make all of our futures collectively better.
How do we officially get involved with the 100th commemoration, May 31st, June 1st, 2021?
You can go to the website for the Centennial Commission, which is tulsa2021.org. And you can see what's going on. There's a calendar of events. There's a 100-day countdown to the commemorative anniversary. There will be a big some sort of big gala with luminaries who have yet to be named. One of them might be a former president. Might be a former president. Might be a former talk show host. Who knows? It could be anybody.
Well, Trump is the one that mentioned Black Wall Street. Did Barack mention Black Wall Street?
He's definitely aware.
Yeah.
And recently, I mean, Cory Booker was here recently. Elizabeth Warren was here. Biden has been here. And Barack has been here too. It's been a while, but he's been here.
Did you get some money from him?
Right. At the end of the day,
we're still raising money, so the answer is not definitive yet. So
pull the gun out. Now, see, Marsha can help you with that. Robin Scott's pretty good too. They from Baltimore. I know how they get that. Well,
I'm from South Bend. We know better, don't we?
Yeah, Bob, but she done picked up some very urban habits since she's been in Baltimore.
I'm sure.
And
she
Harlem,
travels with a straight
and
razor.
Harlem, and Atlanta, and Chicago.
Let me just
LA.
Can I interject this in terms of we're looking for the future? Several years ago, I had the fortune of being invited with a friend to a Xerox event, and the speaker was the Honorable gee whiz, brain freeze again.
Louis Farrakhan.
Louis Farrakhan got the picture on the wall, Farrakhan. And one of the things he said, we have to develop a human feeling for our unborn generations.
Mm.
And that has stuck with me. That's what we have to do.
That's powerful, Bob.
Right.
Develop a human feeling for our unborn generations.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
We got to
Bob,
look down the road.
Bob, take us home with a brief prayer, okay?
Okay, you ready? Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the time that we've had, the fun, the education, the brotherhood and sisterhood that has gone on with this event. We thank you for Donnie and for all that he's doing and the support system that he has and the support he's given. Father, bless us and bless our people that we might move forward, looking to a future, a brighter future, not only for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children, 7 generations down the line. Let us think like our old forefathers thought. They didn't think of themselves, Master, but they thought about their children and their 4 children. Help us, keep us safe during this time. Bless our people, wherever they may be. Forgive us of our sins and love us. Look to you for the help that we need. In Christ Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, church.
all right.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, sir. See you.
See you
Okay.
guys.
All right.
Peace and blessings.
Okay. Yes,
Ma'am.
Bye.
Bye.